Denver, Colorado, 1978. Children and parents have gathered for a Little League baseball game. Finney Blake is throwing, and his sister Gwen is chewing him out. Finney throws 2 strikes, but on the third, another player, Bruce Yamada, smashes the ball and scores a home run to give his team the win. Despite the loss, Bruce praises Finney for his arm. Bruce is later seen riding his bike around town, greeting some schoolgirls along the way. Then a black van approaches Bruce, and he comes to stop. Finney and Gwen live with their father, an abusive alcoholic who is still mourning the death of his wife and the children's mother by suicide. As the siblings begin walking to school, they notice a crowd of children gathered as the school bully Moose confronts another student named Robin Arellano. To everyone's amazement, Robin is a competent fighter who dominates Moose, hitting his face into a bloody pulp. Finney and Gwen continue to walk, with Gwen talking about a local kidnapper known only as the Grabber after learning that Bruce has gone missing. At school, Finney is bullied by 3 boys who follow him into the lavatory and call him out. Robin enters and warns the bullies if they mess with Finney. Robin also urges Finney to stand up for himself. Meanwhile, 2 detectives visit the school and speak with Gwen in the principal's office. Gwen believes she experiences dreams about the missing children taken by the Grabber, but she is unable to understand the meaning of these dreams. The next day, Finney wakes up and finds his father beating Gwen because of cops visiting his workplace and questioning him about Gwen's dreams and the link between that and Bruce's kidnapping. Gwen smashes her father's liquor bottle, and he beats her harder. He tells Gwen to say that her dreams are not genuine, as her mother experienced similar dreams that were thought to be premonitions. Later, Robin is seen as walking around the neighborhood. When he turns the corner, the Grabber is waiting for him, brandishing black balloons, which were also spotted when Bruce went missing. Robin's absence has been reported to parents in the neighborhood. The bullies at school then attack Finney and begin to beat him, but Gwen saves him by whacking one bully over the head with a rock, causing him to bleed heavily. Gwen is kicked in the face, while the other 2 thugs continue to hit Finney. Later in class, Finney is placed with his crush Donna as his scientific partner. She expresses sympathy for Finney being beaten. Finney separates from Gwen as they walk home and encounters the Grabber's van. He pretends as a regular man dumping his groceries, but when Finney notices the black balloons, the Grabber rushes him and sprays his lips with a chemical to knock him unconscious before throwing him into the van. Gwen and the other students at school quickly learn that Finney is missing. The Grabber takes Finney to his basement and imprisons him. There is only one window, and no one can hear him if he screams. The Grabber insults Finney but tells him that he is special. On the wall is a disconnected black phone that the Grabber believes he has heard ringing before. Later, the phone rings again, and Finney answers. He hears Bruce's voice, which describes Finney's arm in baseball as mint. However, Bruce has no idea of his own name or what he accomplished while alive. Bruce tells Finney about a spot in the floor where he can move a tile and start digging. Finney spends his time digging and flushing dirt into the toilet. Gwen has a dream in which she witnesses flashbacks to Bruce's childhood and his growing passion in baseball. Mr. Blake speaks to Gwen, explaining that her mother would talk about experiencing dreams that were visions, just like Gwen does, and that he believes this pushed her to commit suicide, therefore he wants to keep Gwen from going down the same path. The Grabber gives Finney eggs and Sprite, assuring him that the food is clean. He also leaves the door unlocked, but as Finney comes towards it, he hears the phone ring again, this time with the voice of Billy, a local paperboy. While speaking with Finney, the ghost of him appears next to him, his face cut by the Grabber. Billy warns Finney that the unlocked door is a trap, and the Grabber will be waiting for him upstairs with a knife. Billy mentions a cable he left in a crevice beneath the wall. Finney grabs a rolled-up mat and slips the wire up to the window bars, attempting to climb his way out, but his weight pulls the bars off, leaving him with no way back up. Another flashback or dream depicts Billy's life as a paperboy, delivering newspapers with his dog before getting captured by the Grabber. The detectives walk around the neighborhood and meet with a man named Max, who is doing his own research into the missing children. He informs the cops that he is residing with his brother for the time being. Meanwhile, Gwen tries to gather as much information as she can from her dreams in order to find her brother. The Grabber asks Finney for his name, but when he lies, he throws him a newspaper with the news of his disappearance. When he departs, the phone rings again, and he speaks with a child called Griffin. Griffin's spirit appears beside Finney, and he tells him about a lock combination he wrote down. This is part of the naughty boy game that the Grabber enjoys playing with his victims. Finney finds the numbers, but Griffin can't remember the exact combination. While the Grabber sleeps, Finney sneaks upstairs and tries every combination he can think of until the door unlocks. Unfortunately, Samson, the grabber's dog, barks at the sound of the unlocking, waking him awake. Finney flees the house and makes it only a short distance down the street before being captured by the grabber. Neighbors put on their lights, but the grabber threatens to murder Finney immediately if he makes a sound. He waits till the lights turn off before returning Finney. The phone rings again. But this time Finney hears the voice of Vance Hopper, a local punk musician. A flashback depicts Vance at an arcade, where he fought with two kids because one of them screwed up his high score. He was captured shortly after. In the flashback, Gwen is standing next to Vance, who is speaking to Finney over the police radio, but Finney cannot hear her cry out to him. They arrive at a residence, where Gwen attempts to remember the number. She subsequently rides her bike through the neighborhood to discover the house and gets awoken by the ghosts of the grabber's victims. Finney listens to Vance's advice and discovers a freezer behind the wall. Finney tries his hardest to push through the door, but he is unable. He starts crying, afraid that he will die there. He answers the phone when it rings again. It's Robin, and he recalls Finney in his own life. He tells Finney that he has always been his buddy and that now is the moment for him to finally stand up for himself. Robin tells Finney to practice using the phone as a weapon and to load the receiver with mud to increase its weight. Gwen calls the cops and travels with them to the address she saw in her dreams. While everything is going on, Max concludes that the missing children are in the house where he is residing, because the grabber is his brother. He enters the basement and is surprised to discover Finney there. Max tries to help, but the grabber kills him with an axe to the skull. He goes after Finney, but the boy has used every resource available to him, even the ghost kids. He places a rug over the hole he dug, then uses the cable to trip the grabber and lower him into the hole, where his ankle fractures as it hits the window bars. Finney then starts wailing on the grabber with the phone, which rings one more time. Finney forces the grabber to hear his victims taunting him about his death before snapping his neck. To distract Samson, he takes a steak from the freezer and throws it to him. The detectives examine the house, but it seems vacant until one officer discovers the basement. Instead of finding Finney, the detectives discover the bodies of the other 5 boys buried in the dirt. The house where Finney was being held is located across the street. He unlocks the door and comes out into the sunlight, where Gwen recognizes him and runs to her brother. The authorities take care of the children, and they are picked up by their father, who apologizes tearfully to both of them for how he treated them. Finney returns to school with greater confidence than before. The other kids regard him as a legend for murdering the grabber, and bullies no longer dare to challenge him. He reunites Donna in science class, but tells her to call him Finn.